What if you're not failing at life? Your brain just needs a different setup. This is the messiest part of my life, and I'm actually really proud of it. Let me explain. If you could see my workspace right now, you'd probably think, wow, there's a lot going on. Half-finished projects, notebooks with only a few pages filled out, tabs open that I swear I'll come back to eventually. And for the longest time, I saw all of that as proof that something was wrong with me. That I was lazy, that I lacked discipline, and that I just couldn't get it together. I tried everything. Time blocking, color-coded calendars, bullet journaling, inbox zero, every system that promised to finally make me feel on top of my life. And every single time, I failed. Or at least that's what I thought was happening. Until one question changed everything. What if I wasn't failing the system? What if the system was failing me? Today we're going to talk about that. About the possibility that you are not broken, behind, or bad at life. You might just be trying to force your brain into a setup it was never designed for. And by the end of this episode, my hope is that you will walk away with less shame, more trust, and a few practical ways to start building a life that actually works with your brain instead of against it. For most of us, we've been handed one very specific definition of what it means to be a productive individual. It looks like consistency, linear progress, finishing one thing before starting another, waking up early, following a perfectly structured schedule, and if you can't do those things, you assume the problem is you. But here's the truth. Most productivity advice is designed for a very specific type of brain, one that thrives on structure, predictability, and linear thinking. And not everyone's brain works that way. Some brains are cyclical, some are creative, some are idea-generating machines that don't move in straight lines. They jump, connect, explore, and create in ways that don't fit neatly into a planner. So when you try to force that kind of brain into rigid systems, it doesn't just feel hard, it feels impossible. And instead of questioning the system, we internalize the failure. We think, why can't I just do this like everyone else? But maybe the better question is, who was the system actually built for? Let's go back to the mess part. The unfinished projects, the scattered notes, the million ideas. What if that isn't evidence of failure, but information? Because when I started looking at my patterns differently, I realized something. I wasn't just inconsistent. I was cyclical. I wasn't distracted. I was curious. And I wasn't just unmotivated. I was overstimulated by rigid expectations. That mess was actually showing me how my brain naturally operates. It thrives on variety. It needs visual stimulation, and it works best when there's flexibility and room to follow energy instead of forcing it. Once I stopped judging those patterns and started observing them, everything shifted. Instead of asking, how do I fix this? I started asking, what is this trying to show me? That question alone can change everything. Now, here's why things get really practical. Once you realize your brain isn't the problem, the next step is to design systems that actually support it. Not someone else's routine, not what works for influencers online, not what looks just good on paper. What works for you? And for me, that looked like swapping long to-do lists for mind maps that I could see connections between ideas, just making things simpler. Using visual timers instead of strict schedules, and letting myself have multiple projects going at once instead of forcing finish one thing first. Working in bursts of energy instead of fixed time blocks has also been instrumental for me here as well. And here's the key. None of those things are better systems. They're just better for my brain. And this is the shift from productivity to self-awareness, from discipline to design. There's that quote, you've probably heard it before, if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing it is stupid. That's what so many of us are doing. We're measuring ourselves against systems that were never built for how we think, create, or operate. And now we're using that mismatch as evidence that we're failing at life. You're not failing, you're just being measured in the wrong environment. Imagine what happens when the fish is put back in water. Everything that once looked like a weakness becomes a strength. That's what happens when you stop trying to force your brain into the wrong system and start placing yourself in environments and building workflows that actually work to support you and how you function. So here's what I want to offer you today. Permission. Permission to question the rules you've been following. Permission to stop trying to force yourself into systems that drain you. Permission to build something that looks different, even if it doesn't make sense to anyone else. Because the goal isn't to look productive. The goal is to create a life that feels sustainable, aligned, and that actually works. And that might mean your version of productivity looks like messy desks, nonlinear progress, multiple passions, a million tabs open plus one, flexible schedules, going with the flow. That doesn't make you inconsistent. It means you're operating exactly as you were designed to. So yeah, I'm proud of this mess because it stopped being something that I was ashamed of, and I started being the clue that helped me understand myself. It taught me how to finally work with my brain instead of against it, and I want the same for you. So here's something to think about after this episode, Mama. What's one productivity rule you've been trying to follow that just doesn't work for you? And what would it look like to give yourself permission to break it? If this episode resonated with you, I would love to hear from you. Send me a message, share this episode, or just take a moment to reflect on what your brain actually needs, because you are not behind, you're not broken, you might just need a different setup. And once you find it, wow, everything can change. I'll catch you in the next one, Mama.